Hi everyone, my name is Joy, and thanks to MMPS and Oz Arts, I'll be leading you through a STEAM activity using movement and our bodies as the main vehicle. Now you're probably thinking, what is STEAM? STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. The mission of STEAM is to provide you with knowledge, experiences, and skills needed to solve problems of the 21st century as you move into college and your careers. One of the ways we do this is by looking at how different subjects and disciplines can share similar goals and processes. Today, we'll be looking at the arts and how it can connect to the other letters in the acronym. There's a couple of things that you should know about me before we get started today. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas, and Nashville is the third city that I've gotten the pleasure to live in. I love to dance. I even got my degree in it. I got something called a BFA, a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Dance. I'm currently a professional dancer with a contemporary dance company in the area called New Dialect. Despite what you might be thinking, you don't need to be professionally trained to move your body. Dance is natural in all of us. Now let's get moving. Today, we're going to dive into the mind of a choreographer as we challenge ourselves to create a short dance. The choreographic process is unique to every choreographer. They can use a wide variety of approaches and may choose one predominant method or combine several. This could include hearing music that completely makes an idea come to life, or experimenting with movement that leads to more exploration. A choreographer may have vivid ideas for a new work. However, translating this imagination onto dancers' bodies and shaping it into a dance that is ready to be performed is a very challenging, yet equally rewarding process. You'll need a few things for today's activity: comfortable clothes to move around in, a pen and paper, and some open space. For this lesson, we're going to focus on facilitating movement for our pieces through a written assignment. First, we're going to take a few minutes to create a conversation between two characters that are in relation to one another. From there, we will follow a choreographic process I have specifically designed for you all to help you build a movement dialogue that reflects this conversation. Pause this video and take a couple of minutes to write down a dialogue between two characters. Let's say one of the characters has some news that they want to tell the other character, and the conversation is the reaction to that. Let's keep the conversation between 10 to 15 lines. Keep in mind a couple of things. The news can be exciting, or sad, or happy, or serious, and the characters do not have to be human. Let your imagination take you anywhere and everywhere. Now that you have created your character dialogue, we're going to focus on a 3-step choreographic process. Step 1's purpose is to originate fresh movement material. Step 2's purpose is to organize the new material into phrases. Step 3's purpose is to arrange all of your ideas into the main composition. Step 1 is all about generating movement. This can be done through exploration, experimentation, or improvisation. The way in which a choreographer accumulates movement material depends on the process they are most drawn to. It may be simply a question of creating variations within a known pattern of movements. Think of the dance vocabulary you already know. Maybe it's through social dance, a routine you made up when you were younger, or even TikTok. Or maybe instead, you could create a vocabulary and style of movement to suit your own personal visions. Let's stand up and experiment with that all together. Step 1 is all about generating movement for our dance piece. That can be done through improvisation, exploration, or through familiar movement. All together, we're going to experiment with 2 social dance moves that I think that we're already familiar with. We're going to work with the whoa and the whip. So let's just familiarize ourselves with the whoa. And then let's see where we can take it from there. We can bring our arm back. We can bring our arm to the side. We can change our position. We can move it, make it locomotive. We can take the action of the whoa and put it in a different body part. We can change the quality of the move, so instead of it being hard, it can be soft. We can add repetition to it and take it different places. Good, keep going and experimenting and exploring that. Good, keep going for a little bit more. Good, and come to standing. Nice. Let's experiment with the second dance move, the whip. Good. Let's try to take that at a different level, different speed, or different quality, just like we did with the first dance move. So we can change our direction. Again, we can move it. We can put it in a different body part. We can change the quality. Good, and come to standing. So now that we have all the tools that we need for step 1, let's move on to step 2. I've given you many tools in order to create movement for your first step. For step 2, we want to start to organize the movement we just experimented with and put it into phrases. A phrase is a series of movements bound together by a physical impulse or line of energy and having a recognizable beginning and end. There must be some kind of logical connection between the two movements that prevents them from appearing so isolated. It may be that one movement flows easily and naturally into another within the phrase, or that there is some clearly visible pattern to the movement. Step 2 is all about taking that exploration that we played with in step 1 and applying it to this step to make a dance phrase that's solidified. So let's think about that first step that we explored, the whoa. So some of those things that we explored was putting it in a different body part, moving it around, taking it low to the ground and up. Let's try to make that into a dance phrase. So an example of that would be maybe bringing our arm up, bringing our arm down, going around, switching it, bringing the other arm up, all the way back down, hitting it with a different body part, coming back up, going around, maybe taking the whole thing to the left, hitting a different body part. So connecting all of those things is what we call a dance phrase. That's what you want to take from step 1, exploring movement that doesn't have any beginning or end, and putting it into a phrase that does have a beginning, middle, and end. Once a phrase has been constructed, it can be built onto in many different ways. This can include, but not limited to, repetition, accumulation, imitating it on a different scale, embellishing it with other movements, taking it at a different speed, or making the phrase a different movement quality altogether. You want to select movement that you liked and think will go well with the character dialogue you created. Then you want to synthesize or combine those movements into one. After that, you want to make sure you have a complete structure that you will present as your dance. Let's stand up once more and see how we can connect step 1 and 2. So now that we have put together some dance phrases, I want to give you a couple of tools so you can change it up a little bit and make it make sense with your story. You can change the level, go down or go up. You can roll to the ground. You can take a turn, you can move it. You don't have to just stay in place. You can move with it. You can change the quality of your movement. So instead of it being sharp, you can take it super soft. You can close your eyes. You can change your head. Your head also gives a good indication of what is happening in the story. Your facial expressions give a good indication of what happens in the story. So just make sure that you're trying to incorporate those things so that it can make sense with what you're trying to tell your audience. The third phase of the choreographic process, creating the overall structure of the dance, may be influenced by a variety of considerations, including the purpose of the dance. If the work is to be a narrative piece, the plot will obviously determine the way in which the dance material is to be structured. It may have to follow a strict succession of events, create characters in a particular order, and bring the drama to climax at the proper moments. Movement usually develops organically even when the overall structure of the piece is imposed by a plot or piece of music. Take an in-depth look at the phrases and dialogue you've created to make sure the structure makes sense and flows well with the storyline. You want to evaluate, refine, and edit the framework you've already built. Here's a look at my finished product. Mr. Owl, I've got something to tell you. What is it, Squirrel? I'm sleeping. Okay, I've got some news, but I'm not sure if you're going to like it. You can't possibly tell me anything worse than our situation is right now. What do you mean, Mr. Owl? Squirrel, look around. Our house is a mess. Your clothes are everywhere, you don't wash the dishes, and you're always late on rent. I'm sorry, Mr. Owl. I had no idea I was being a bad roommate. Well, never mind. You might actually like this news. Just spit it out, squirrel. I'm moving out. I found an amazing new tree, and I've already started decorating it. It has lots of space, rent is cheap, and the best part? I get my own bathroom. You're moving out? No, don't leave me, squirrel. Don't worry, Mr. Owl. The good news is you can have your own space now. And you want to know the best part, Mr. Owl? What, squirrel? It's the tree next door. Now, let's do a quick recap. The choreographic process is unique to every choreographer. Choreographers can use a wide variety of approaches by choosing one method or combining several. You want to make sure that your finished product can be effectively translated to the stage and is clear to your audience. Don't be afraid to move out of your comfort zone to generate movement and create something distinctive. Now that you have all the information to make a well-organized dance piece, I challenge you to record your story just like I did and then create movement using the same 3-step process we followed in this video. Well, it looks like I'm all out of time. See you for the next STEAM lesson.